Thanks for your company. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Let's now settle for the details. And the International Monetary Fund has reiterated that it is hopeful the Official Creditor Committee and the Ghanaian government will find an agreement soon on the external debt restructuring. More than half of the country's $52.3 billion debt are owed to external creditors, and therefore a significant haircut is crucial to reduce the debt. Speaking at a press conference, Director of Communications at the IMF, Julie Kozak, said it is good for the government to finalize the restructuring of its domestic debt.
Ghana's program has three key objectives: restoring macroeconomic stability, ensuring debt sustainability, and laying the foundations for higher and more inclusive growth. And the program includes wide-ranging reforms to build resilience while protecting the most vulnerable. The next steps on debt restructuring are for the Official Creditor Committee to agree with the authorities on the specific modalities of debt relief, and for the authorities to continue to engage with their external private creditors for relief on their external debt. These discussions are ongoing, and we hope that the OCC, the Official Creditor Committee, and the Ghanaian authorities will find an agreement soon. The government has recently finalized the restructuring of its domestic debt.
Former president of the Ghana Association of Banks, Dr. Alhassan Adani, has maintained that restoration of investor confidence may take a while despite the country securing an IMF program. It is the expectation of some analysts that Ghana will attract investors just as Zambia did after it secured an IMF program. But Dr. Adani argued that more fiscal reforms need to be quickly implemented to help turn things around for the country.
In terms of stability within the fiscal regime, yes, it's given, because if we didn't have a program right now,
it could have been worse.
It should have been, yeah. Because you're running systems, government has bills to pay, and we just didn't have the income to pay those bills. That gap is what this is. So within the government system, quieting down, taking a breather, yes. But after you've taken the breather, what next? Who's going to respond for you to get that more taxes? So those institutional reforms, that discipline to actually execute policy, how are people going to take it? So, yeah, the problem is deeper. It's a lot more institutional reform, a lot more confidence. And are we going to stabilize with the IMF and go back to the debt capital market? If we don't, what kind of attraction do we have now for foreign direct investments to come and kickstart? And it's in the area of foreign direct investments that you are now looking at all the distortions created by the global disruptions, from geopolitics, from war, from COVID, from every institution. I mean, Europe is now trying to self-preserve. The Americas will be trying to self-preserve. You can see the Gulf countries are doing things. China, all of them are trying to. So that kind of massive direct investments that we probably are expecting, we have to moderate it and probably start to craft investment programs that are large enough, impactful enough, that can stand on its own in terms of global exchange. But yeah, I'm not sure where after the IMF we expect those funds to suddenly flow in, because even domestic revenue generation and taxes will be challenged.
Or in the financial space, and players in the industry sector have welcomed news that banks are engaging government to pay debts owed contractors, despite moves by commercial banks to cut back on lending as a result of the rising non-performing loans and the current economic challenges. A former president of the Ghana Association of Banks, Dr. Alhassan Adani, says banks will support viable projects despite the 20% surge in non-performing loans. Now, Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industries, Mark Bidwa-Boaje, is optimistic the move will cushion the sector.
It's a good news. If any business has the potential to expand in spite of the current economic challenges, and there's an assurance that you get a loan or the facility that you need to expand, then of course it's a good news for businesses. But it's coming from somebody probably who is not in the banking system now in terms of providing the facility. I hope the banks are listening, and I hope that they have strong books to be able to support businesses that would want to borrow from them, in spite of the increase in the non-performing loans.
I see.
But I must say that I'm not really surprised with the increase in the non-performing loans. I mean, any economy that is going through the macroeconomic crisis like we are having now, one of the things that you expect is that non-performing loans will go up. And if you look at the background of our challenges where the policy rate keeps increasing, invariably the interest rates are also going up. So definitely it becomes extremely difficult for anybody who borrow with this high interest rate be able to pay back when they themselves are not making enough money because the cost of production is also going up. So it's a difficult situation, but we are hoping. We have a lot of these contractors who have completed the work for government and they have not received payment for the work that they have done. In fact, some of our members are going through difficult moments. I know those who have passed on because they have taken loans and they are not being able to pay and the banks are on them. I know some of them which they have confiscated their properties because they are not able to pay. I have a friend in Cape Coast, for instance, who built a whole market using loans and he has not been paid and is going through a difficult moment. So if the government can take up this bold decision that they are going to pay this contract, but the monies will go through the banks, it means the banks will also get the liquidity to be able to lend to other businesses who will be willing to also take facilities from them. So it's a very good news for
To one of our headline stories, and the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana has disclosed that its intention with oil marketing companies have shown that fuel prices will remain unchanged at the pumps for the first pricing window of October. According to the Chamber, even though there is expected to be 1% increase in finished petroleum products, most OMCs have decided not to pass on the cost to consumers due to competition. Dan Kanamwa is the Executive Secretary of COPEC.
For the first window in the month of October, the anticipation is that pump prices could generally remain unchanged. Although if you do the numbers, there's some 1% adjustment that could have been added. Speaking to a lot of the oil marketing companies, you get the indication that most of them are generally likely to maintain prices at the current levels you find them, not because they don't acknowledge that prices could have gone up, but I'm sure the market competition would make a lot of them to retain prices.
Now, 5 more institutions have been picked up for non-compliance with the country's data protection laws in the latest round of an enforcement action by the Data Protection Commission. The institutions, which are Care Flight Clinic, Embassy Gardens, Morning Star School, and Grace Homeopathic Clinic, were found to be operating without data protection licenses. The 5th company, CAFAM, though registered, had breached sections of the data protection laws. Regulatory and Compliance Director at the Data Protection Commission, Quintin Akrobeto, led the enforcement action and addressed the media.
The Data Protection Commission. Registration is just one of the aspects of compliance. In fact, it is just the beginning process of compliance. What we expect from institutions is to bring their processing under the radar of the Data Protection Commission for supervision. So, for some of the institutions, they haven't registered at all. So we have equally picked institutions in this regard. And this exercise, as we have said, has come to stay. It will continue on a monthly basis. And institutions who are yet to register with the Commission should take note from this and quickly come and register with the Commission. Those institutions who have registered, but their registration licenses have expired and they haven't renewed them, should quickly come and renew them, because this exercise will expand in scope to cover registrations, renewals, and complaints that we receive from the public as far as processing of personal data is concerned. So no institutions will think they've been left out.
Let's talk statistics now, shall we? The Ghana Statistical Service has made known its intention to contribute to building data literate country which would have its policies driven by data. The board chair of the Ghana Statistical Service, Dr. Grace Bediako, who made this known, said her institution launched 4 digital platforms towards achieving this initiative by enabling easy access to their database, which has millions of indicators collated from across the country.
The Ghana Statistical Service digital platforms, designed to have a user-friendly outlook, have millions of data. The platforms are the Stats Bank, Digital Census Atlas, Rasterized Data, and Microdata Access. Stats Bank is an online data archive which has disaggregated data from censuses and survey with over 350 million statistics. It is designed not only to be used by technocrats, but people with basic knowledge. Digital Census Atlas furnishes users with a visual census outlook on the Ghana map, providing data of geographical locations and percentage instead of absolute numbers. It has over 350 indicators. The rasterized data serves users with data beyond the national, regional, and district levels. It extends to the remotest and smallest areas in the country. Microdata Access Platform, which has raw data for specialized analysis, is designed for advanced users such as the academia, researchers, among others. Speaking at the University of Health and Allied Sciences edition of GSS Stats Bank in Ho, the board chair of GSS, Dr. Grace Bediako, highlighted the vision of her outfit.
With the initiatives that GSS is coming up with, data availability will not be a problem. The problem will really be the will and the capacity to use the data and to make the data available in a user-friendly manner so that policymakers can really engage with the data that we produce and the research that we put out. But I think fundamentally, we want to have a data literate institute in country and data-driven policy environment. So governments can actually enact policies based on sound information, analyze data.
The Registrar of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Mrs. Ya Amankwa Opuini, lauded the initiative by the Ghana Statistical Service and underscored its vital use by the academia.
This initiative, bringing information to the doorstep of stakeholders, institutions such as UHAS, by the GSS, is very laudable. You can agree. Not only have they shown us the information which is available, credible information available to us, but they have shown, demonstrated to us how we can actually access the information from their platform. It is a good initiative and we can only commend their efforts doing so.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
This is still Business Live here with me, Pius Kojo Baka. We are taking a breather. We'll be right back with more. Thanks for joining us here on Business Live with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Let's talk cocoa, shall we? And cocoa has been central to the country's debates on development, economic reforms, and poverty alleviation strategies since independence in 1957. However, the sector continues to encounter challenges at the international and local scenes, including child labor and deforestation. Today, I'm joined by a representative from the Ghana Civil Society Cocoa Platform, an independent platform established to advocate and influence cocoa sector policies and programs. And Isifu Isaka is also the president of the Sophie Bokwai Cocoa Farmers Association and joins me in studio to talk more about the cocoa sector. Isifu, thanks so much for joining me on Business Live. First of all, give me an overview of how the cocoa sector is faring.
Oh, thank you very much for the opportunity. And let me take this opportunity to welcome all cocoa farmers and industry players to your program. And then I may say cocoa we are still doing well, not all that bad. And then it has been a mixed feeling for both cocoa farmers and industry players. So as we speak, there is some level of challenges that farmers are facing on grounds and the government as usual. But I think things are also in somehow right move.
All right, so I do know that the challenges, some of the challenges, has to do with the fact that some of your cocoa farmers are, sitting off their cocoa farms to rubber plantation, and that is a major concern for most industry players. And can you tell me more about that and how you are tackling that or addressing that?
Yes, not to only rubber industry, but others are selling out their cocoa farms to galamseyers, and others to moving away from the cocoa to oil palm and other things because of the challenging that cocoa farmers have been facing. And then for so many years, cocoa farmers have not been looking very attracting. Like if you take the global cocoa system, you will see that most of the gains go outside instead of to come to production. The companies, the international bodies are taking huge chunk of the gains. If you take the 100% gains that fall within the year, about 93% goes to the so-called chocolatiers, the processors, and just less than 6% comes to production. And if you take a system where just 6% goes to production, and considering the cost of farming have not been easy, inflation is high, price of petrol has gone high, farm input have gone high. So it is difficult for cocoa farmers to invest more in their production. And at the end, most of these gains go up there to the industry players. So it's a big challenge for we cocoa farmers. Our living income is not sustainable.
I see. I do know that you also have a variety of cocoa beans farmers are growing. Is that helping?
With now the climate change and other system, we could see that farmers are losing with this variety cocoa beans that we are producing, and the inclusion of climate change is disturbing us a lot. Where you expect yield, you don't get yield because of the weather conditions and other things. So with the variety, I may say cocoa research, they are doing well. They come out with a good seedlings for cocoa farmers to plant them. But with climate change, has been a difficulty for we, the farmers.
Let's talk about the pricing of the commodity itself, cocoa. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, this is where I like most because when it comes to cocoa pricing, both at the international level and domestic, there is a challenge. The representation of farmers to us at the domestic level is not all that seen. And then at the international level, when they sit to decide the price of cocoa, they usually don't consider the farmers. You produce your product, you know your cost of production. Somebody sits somewhere, decide the price of cocoa, not considering your cost of production. So it has been a big challenge for we, the cocoa farmers. And the system where we used to trade cocoa in Ghana and the world as a whole, to me, farmers, we are not happy with it. Forward sales. We have applied this system for about 33 years now, since 1990. And somehow, nowadays, with the current trend of cocoa production, ICCU have predicted severally that there will be a decline of cocoa. It means that the demand of cocoa will be high since supply is going down. And you know this trend, and you're still going for forward sales. Ghana, this year, we went in for forward sales around $2,200 per metric ton, as announced by the president. And the CEO of Cocoa Board some time ago came to your sister station, Asempa, with Obi, and he made it clear that we sold the cocoa for $2,200. At that time, cocoa was trading around $3,600. But because of the system, the forward sales, we lose some level of monies to the so-called buyers.
I'm very much interested why your organization or cocoa farmers do not come to the decision table when it comes to pricing. Why is it so? Is it that you don't have a system to channel that?
Not that they don't come. Some of them are there, but sometimes to get a fair representation becomes a problem. Because why is that so? Some you might not know even who represent the farmers at the table. And
how is that possible?
It's possible. You can go out and ask. We have over 1 million cocoa farmers. You go and ask that, do you know the farmer who represents you when it's on the table of deciding price? About 90% will tell you we don't know him. And it's a big challenge to we, the cocoa farmers. And the issue is that we don't have one centralized system where cocoa farmers are put together. There is a diverse way and individual way of doing things. So I think it will be good for cocoa farmers to come together to get a strong umbrella body that will be recognized by law and that will be recognized by any government, and will go away, will shun away with the political sense of bringing in a political way and then be neutral, so that this team will be recognized. So anytime at the table, the farmers will choose whom they wish to be there on the table of discussion.
I see. Quite recently, the Bank of Ghana announced that Cocoa Board will raise about $800 million in the coming weeks. I don't know whether you've heard of that, but the Bank of Ghana made that in response to the cocoa loan syndication program to support basically the purchase of cocoa beans for the next crop season. Now, do you think this will affect production, since we are seeing a drop in that quantum?
I'm aware that the CEO of Cocoa Board said that this year there wasn't anything like syndication, like they've agreed with the buyers, and the buyers are to pre-finance the cocoa buying. I remember just last month ago, he made this conversation with your colleague, Obi. So with this new information that Ghana is going for $800 million for cocoa purchases, and the CEO is also saying this year we have been very proactive. Therefore, we've had a discussion with our buyers, and they are ready to pre-finance us. So it's two different things that we are hearing. Because before you get syndicated, I think you should tender something to Parliament. Parliament have to give approval and the rest. But we didn't hear much on syndication this year. So we know that cocoa will be pre-financed by the support of our buyers.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Isifu Isaka, for speaking to us on issues that has to do with cocoa, basically. And that's it for Business Life for today. I am Pius Kojobaka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business to enjoy the rest of our programs and have a lovely weekend. Bye.